Mike Alcoholic. You know, when I think about what the topic was, and it said who the we were, and those first 100 people, I mean, it reminds me of another part of the book. It says we have a way out on which we can absolutely agree. And being around a few 24 hours, I have to say, is that true? Do we agree? And you know, it makes me think of the promises when it talks about, you know, these extravagant, and we all are trained to say, we think not. And I'm thinking, who actually was saying we think not, the first 100, but I'm thinking, when I got here, they sounded extremely extravagant. But I said, we think not, just because everybody else said it. So from early on, I was trained just immediately upon being here and hearing the first promises that I'm one of the we just because I said we think not. But actually, I was thinking they're very extravagant, and they are if I'm new. Because all I know is the bedevilments on 52. Those promises were absolutely extravagant. So I began early on having to make a choice about what I wanted to be. You're going, wait a minute, Mike, I thought we were all we. Well, I'm going to say a couple of things, and you'll know absolutely that that's not the case, is it? To me, there's two we's here. And it's not the we that you got to go to the psychiatrist and get you some doctor dope and it's better living through chemistry. There are those we's here. I found that is no permanent solution. I'm not talking about the we where there's a we that says that you can't stay sober if you're a newcomer unless you lock yourself up somewhere for a while. We know that that's not true because when they wrote the book, they didn't even have these places. And 75 and 100 make it, and now 5 and 100 make it. So, I'm not a part of that we. I want to be a part of the successful we, right? Let me tell you the real two we's. There's two we's. One is the we that thinks that because you sit in meetings, the miracle's going to rub off by osmosis. And then there's the we that knows the fact of the matter is that it's a we fellowship, but the program is a little different. I need me, the book, and a guide and a God, because no human power can relieve me of this. You know, and just like from the beginning, we think not, we all are trained, and I was trained to think that because I'm sitting here, I'm the we that absolutely agrees. And I've already proven to you that we don't all agree because there's those other camps. We don't want to say it out loud, but those camps are there. But the biggest camp is one that you don't articulate. You know, even our book talks about our feet will convince them more than our words. Our actions will convince them more. So what are the actions of the we? The actions of the we that says, I could just sit in here and rub off by osmosis, they're the revolving door, right? That's most people. That camp has the most people of all. We know it because they tell us 5 and 100 make it. That's the biggest we. But I'm here to report that just because it's the biggest we, it's not necessarily the camp that I want to be. I want to be the we that can absolutely agree with what the book says. Today, it seems, in my observation and my tenure here, which is growing on substantial, that to talk about the book in a real way is the butt of jokes these days. You're a Nazi AA. I mean, can you imagine that? Telling somebody that because they talk about the book, they're likening them to the Antichrist? I mean, Hitler? I mean, what's happened here? Well, the we that think that it can just sit in a meeting and rub off by osmosis has tainted the whole situation. Because the we that said we think not, which to them it wasn't extravagant, the we that said we can absolutely agree, who absolutely knew the book was exactly the way out, and they all talked about just that in meetings, the we that said we are 100 who have recovered, there ain't many of those we's around. And you say, Mike, this room is full. That don't mean it's all the we. So everybody has to decide. And you say, Mike, you keep saying we, but It's such a scary thing. You're really not supposed to say the things I'm supposed to. You're supposed to kumbaya and it's all great. But we miss that this is life and death. And everybody has to choose which we they want to be. And it ain't what you say you are, it's what your feet say you're doing that says you are. You know, I remember seeing P90X, and she made me think of that because she's like a world-renowned professional bodybuilder. I remember seeing P90X in the middle of the night and having this curious feeling that I was going to be Schwarzenegger just upon calling the 1-800 number. But just like Fred in his story on 42, the curious feeling that the drink problem had been removed just because I decided to go through with the process. Yeah, that can be a feeling, but it's not a fact. Because he said, as it in fact proved to be. Feelings aren't facts. The proof is in the process. The proof is not sitting in a room hoping for the best. The proof is me putting footwork through the book and doing the instructions that was laid out precisely, and then I know which we I am. And those are the we's that stay here. I want to be a we that stays here. I want to be a we that absolutely agrees. I do. I want to be a we that says we think they're not extravagant and actually mean it, not just because it's a mantra that we're supposed to say. You feel me? My choice has been made. And what I have found is that now that I am recovered, I know what it takes to stay here, and the effort that it takes to stay here is minimal compared to what it took to stay out there. Dr. Bob said if I'll put half the zeal into this that I put out there, my Heavenly Father won't let me down. These are things that are in the book. I'm not making this up. I just happen to 100% agree with it. So I thought I'd interject that realism into this kumbaya moment that we're having. It's really great. But everybody has to choose which way they want to be. And today my choice is made. And hopefully I'll make the same choice tomorrow. And I've had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, and I'll pass.
Thanks. I'm like,